Hello all you Animorph loving cosmonauts, as always I am Cosmic, and today we're going to be reviewing Shyness the Lightning Kingdom, which is a brand new action RPG developed by indie studio Enigami and published by Focus Home Interactive. Shyness places you in the role of a young wacky named Shadow and his companion Pokey, and they are travelling to the mystical lands of life, directed by a Shyness, which is a spirit of the earth, and that Shyness only Shadow can see and talk to and no one else can see, so it looks like he's talking to a ghost the entire time. Along travelling that journey, he boards a airship and crash lands on a continent whereby several kingdoms are vying for power, and there's a lot of political and all kinds of craziness going on. So he finds himself in a crash land, meets up with various people, and your sole goal is to get to the lands of life, as well as find out what the hell is going wrong with the world. The story at the start is a little bit cliched, and I'm not going to deny that it isn't, but it's fantastic. I absolutely love the story, even with its flaws and all. It is a little bit cliche, it's a little bit traditional, but for the most part it is pretty much executed very, very well. It reminds me very much of the old school PS2 era RPGs, very much the Tales series. It does remind me a little bit of the Tales series. I love the Tales series, in particular Tales of Vesperia. And while it doesn't quite meet up to that standard, it is certainly a charming and engaging story, if a little bit slow to start. And I say a little bit, it takes a good couple of hours for you really to start investing in the story and its characters, because at the very start the characters can come off as very two-dimensional, but later on they really do flesh those characters out and they become somewhat memorable. For those who have played action RPGs before, specifically action RPGs with real-time battle systems similar to the Tales series, you will be right at home with Shyness the Lightning Kingdom. It works very simply in that you play as one character and you can switch between those characters at any time during the overworld play, and as soon as you encounter an enemy you will be able to switch into real-time battle systems seamlessly and then fight on the world map wherever you are, instead of going to a special level that various occurs in various RPGs that I've always found personally particularly annoying. The combat in Shyness works fairly well, and it's something that any fan of action RPGs will come to know and be able to pick up and play very easily. You're able to dodge attacks, you're able to parry attacks, which then leaves them open to a counter attack. You are able to use melee attacks that is based on martial arts within the game, and you're also used to use magic attacks. The great thing about the attack system and the combat system overall in the game is that everything can be comboed. You have set combos that you can learn and master to improve your damage, but you can also string basic attacks together with special attacks and magic attacks to create unique combinations that work very well and aim for maximum damage. Enemies and characters also have certain affinities to certain magical types, so you can actually, if you master and get enough affinity with any particular magic group, you can become completely immune to that attacks, and the same goes for enemies. The combat itself is fairly straightforward, but it's something that does have a slight learning curve. Once you're past that learning curve, there are still challenges within combat itself. You'll come across boss fights, including side quests and main quest boss, that will have unique mechanics and will pit your strength, skill and strategy against the best. It is something that, while a lot of the majority of the combat in terms of the basic enemies becomes fairly easy once you've eclipsed them in level cap, there always will be a boss or a side quest that will at least give you some sort of challenge throughout the game. Outside of combat, you can level your character up. In terms of statistical leveling up, that occurs automatically, which was a little bit of a shame for me because I do like to tailor my characters down to the very stat. But other than that, you're able to switch out techniques, and you can only equip 2 techniques at a time, one magical and one physical. Once you've mastered that technique, you can have it constantly equipped and you're able to use it all the time. But until you learn and master those techniques, you can only have a single one, but one physical and one magical equipped at any one time for each character. On top of that, each character has a magical affinity like I've mentioned, and you're able to build that up over time, which will not only increase your resistance to that type of attack, but it will also increase the damage of that type of attack as well. Characters can also be equipped with a variety of equipment that you can purchase for and find out in the world. Again, the variety is not that good here, so don't be expecting massive amounts of different armors that do different things. It is very much a straightforward linear game and a straightforward linear experience, so you'll be getting different armors as you progress into different areas. What I really liked about Shyness was the overall art style and the world design. I think the anime art style worked very well. It was something that was really eye-pleasing to look at. While the textures on some of the world design weren't that great, in particular things like rocks and the ground, they weren't as high res as I would prefer them to be. Overall, the game looked really, really nice. It is very standout, it's visually pleasing, it's never not nice to look at, and that is saying something. I absolutely love the anime art style, and coupled with that is of course the story. Now, I've said that I enjoyed the story. I think that one of the major problems with the story is that, for me at least, and I'm not sure if they're going to patch this out at launch, was the fact that the game had both French and English voice acting in there, and it switched between the two at really odd times. So you would have a couple of cutscenes that were English, and then the majority of the cutscenes would all be in French, which is not a bad thing because I play many RPG with Japanese voice only, and I'm happy to read the subtitles. That may be an issue for some people. It was not for me, although I would have preferred if they just stick the course and chose one thing to do. However, that being said, let's talk about the world design. The world design was really nice. I absolutely loved the world. I thought it was a great, well-created world. The level design itself made sense. There was tons of puzzles to do, and each specific character in your party has a unique overworld ability to solve puzzles. So one has telekinesis, so you can pick up objects. Shadow has, for example, he can create a giant boulder, and you can use that to plant on various buttons to open gates and that kind of thing. Pokey has a spanner, and he's able to basically tune into the Shi of the world, the magic of the world, and connect various magical items to power devices. All of these things culminate into later on puzzles that you have to use multiple characters to get past. And while I'm not a big puzzle fan, I have to say that I appreciated objectively the fact that they incorporated multiple characters and multiple mechanics into the puzzles themselves. The audio of the game was also fantastic. It was a great audio soundtrack that provided some really fun and enjoyable music throughout, and it's probably an audio soundtrack, one of the few that I will probably add to my iTunes collections. Now, that all being said, there are a couple of negatives to the game itself. The camera is a problem, especially in combat, because once you enter into combat, you have an arena around you, basically an invisible wall, and you can't get past that, which means that sometimes if you back an enemy into a corner, or you get backed into a corner yourself, and it is a particularly busy scene, like the center of a forest, for example, the camera can go a little bit haywire, or you can get completely blocked off from what you're seeing, which does cause a significant problem, especially when you are facing down a tough enemy. Another issue is the fact that some of the writing within the story itself was a little bit of a disappointment. There were obvious statements that didn't need to be made. They would say things that didn't make any sense. While I did enjoy the character dialogue, and it told you the dialogue wheel, and it did actually tell you what the character was going to say, overall, some of the characters, particularly in their writing and their design, came off as a little bit, I wouldn't say childish in the idea that they sound like a child, but a little bit too silly, and it didn't really fit the rest of the character. In terms of the scope and length of the title, it is a little bit shorter than what you would expect from, say, a Final Fantasy game. However, at the price that this game is at, which is $30, it is actually worth a buy, especially if you enjoy action RPGs. It is something that if it was priced higher, if it was priced at a $60 price tag, I would say definitely wait for a sale. But for the quality and the overall enjoyment of the title and the charmingness of it, I would say $30 is pretty much a bargain. It's a great enjoyable experience. It definitely will not be for everybody, and I think that those looking for a really serious gritty tone will be put off by Shyness the Lightning Kingdom. But if you're looking for something that is, got a great anime style, has a fairly decent story, has some really enjoyable moments, some great characters, and it has some great story moments within it, then it's certainly worth picking up. The overall execution of Shyness the Lightning Kingdom really stands out, and for an indie project, I have to say that I was mighty impressed by it. $30 for this title is well worth it, and you will get hours and hours of content out of it. So that is my review of Shyness the Lightning Kingdom. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe and share on social media, and as always, I will see you next time.